back to the studio. My name's Kaylee and I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings. Today I wanted to paint a really cool sunset scene over the ocean. Before we get started, let me walk you through what I've done up on the canvas. First, I took a mason jar lid and kind of decided that was about the size I was going to go for. I laid out some tape on my little clipboard because it's nice and clean, and then I drew out the circle, cut it out, and then peeled off the tape. Then I applied the tape to the canvas. There's probably 1,000 different ways you could do this. Make a circle that's sticky and put it up on the canvas, and if you want to skip that step, you can totally do it. I just think it's going to help us later and kind of save us a little bit of effort. So I did it. You don't have to. We'll move into paints. We have titanium white, Indian yellow. This is an orange mix with bright red and cadmium yellow. So it's kind of a bright orange. If you have that, it works perfectly fine. Bright red, alizarin crimson, phthalo green. This is Prussian blue, 3 parts with 1 part midnight black. Then we have dark sienna, 3 parts dark sienna, 1 part bright red. And then this is our gray mix. We've made it before. This is equal parts of alizarin crimson and phthalo green down here for our gray mix. All right, to start off, I'm gonna pick up my 2-inch brush and go right into our bright orange. Get a good bit. Tap it into the brush so it's nice and evenly distributed. And then we'll start from the top using your X's, and we'll work down. Oof, that's bright. We'll see how this turns out. A little more paint. And I'm just going to work this down, getting softer and, less paint as we move further towards the sun. And then we'll kind of soften that up. I kind of want there to be this central brightness here. Just varying how hard I'm pushing on the brush to kind of give it a little bit of texture. And I'm just going to move this kind of sunshine color in. It's pretty bright right now, but trust the process. And we're going to put some color down in here. Here, and we're going to do here. And we'll just kind of even all this up, soften. Ooh, I'm curious. Hopefully I chose the right colors today. I'm just gonna go across this and kind of get some of these brush strokes out. We'll soften this up a little more in a minute. Going straight across here, just softening. Go ahead and pick up a blending brush. Just a clean 2-inch brush, starting in the middle where it's lightest. And we're gonna work out. And I'm trying to keep the direction of the brush always the same, so this part here is always pointed towards the center. And that's just to make sure that it's going to be the darker paint up here and lighter paint moving in, so we don't darken these areas that we just softened. And we're just gonna keep blending until it reaches a point that you like it. And then we'll clean out our brush. A little more down here with our freshly wiped brush on the liquid white. It just helps to blend this bottom area here a little more. All the way across. Okay. Now we're going to take some alizarin crimson on the brush. Just tap into a little bit of that. Not too much. Now I'm thinking we're gonna have some clouds or some mistiness down here. So we're gonna start with this crimson down where our horizon line is gonna meet, where the sky meets the water. Just to give us a little bit of an idea. Remember, you can still kind of change your mind as you're painting, but we just want to help guide the eyes to the next step. So we'll start with this crimson down below, and then we're going to kind of blend it up and move it up. I'm just using an X stroke and kind of varying it, picking up some paint and moving it. Now we'll go all the way across and just soften it. And let's bring that down just to blend just a little bit. Cleaning out the brush also of that excess paint. This is what saves you having to clean out your brushes as much. It's just using the paint. Awesome. Let's pick up our blending brush again, wipe it off if you have not yet. And we're just gonna soften this. If you're painting with me right now, let me know how you like this painting, or if you're planning on it, if you were inspired by it to paint something else. I'd love to hear your story. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Right now I'm just swirling around some of this crimson up into our orange. Just getting them to mix up a little bit, get friendly. Working this up just a little bit more. If you do it too fast, and you can't really take it back as easily, so I like to work it a little slow. Just getting some movement in this area, a few darker areas. Nice. 1-inch brush and go into our blue mixture and bring it right over to our crimson. You don't need a lot, so we're tone that down. Just get a good bit of that on the brush. And I'm gonna start down at the bottom and just nice and softly move that up a little. If you want to make it nice and soft and blended, you can do that. I'm just trying to add in some background, kind of misty, cloudy look, and then we're going to come back and blend it. Definitely get creative and find your way to do it. I'm just going to show you how I'm layering the paints to get some looks that we want, different ways to get, get those ideas out of your brain. Get them up on the canvas. I really want it to be dark down here on the bottom, so I'm going to pick up just a touch more paint. And that's our blue mixture and alizarin crimson. Just mixing it right on the brush. No big deal. Blue, alizarin crimson. I'm doing an X stroke on here, just helps to get it blending. I'm getting it on both sides. You can do this. You just want to make sure you get it in all the bristles. Just using a lot of pressure down on the bottom here to get a lot of the paint off, and as I move up, I'm lightening up on the brush. See, I'm barely touching, but if I push really hard, I'm still going to get a lot of the paint out. So you just have to be careful and know where you are and how hard you want to push there so that you don't get too much paint out, unless that's what you're going for. So see, and you can just fix it right up, no big deal. All right, while we still have this brush going, let's go ahead and put in some of our base for the bottom. So the ocean part, you're just gonna get in a little bit of color. I have a little bit more of the blue mixture right now, but still the same color that we were using, just the blue mixture and crimson. We're working from the outside in. That way you don't get a harsh line here, and we'll leave a little bit of a gap. Pick up some more paint. Do the same thing over here. Working from the outside in, just getting that paint off the brush. Let's pick up a little more of our blue mixture right down here. A little more. Yeah, that's really nice. All right, let's pick up our blending brush and start right here on the horizon line and make it just disappear. So we don't know where one line ends and the other one begins. Moving it up and down until we get those paints to just sink. Blending and softening. I'm pushing pretty hard here. Just trying to stay down in this lower bit. Making it just as soft as you want it. Going all the way across, and then we'll move up here a little bit into our lighter area. Still blending. I'm gonna pick up my 1-inch brush again. I want just a little bit more down here. Same thing. And just blending this kind of lavender color up. And I'm going to use my blending brush now and really soften that top. Blending until you get it to where you like it. I'm gonna clean off my brush a little bit, picking up some paint. Get some long, even strokes here. And that We'll lengthen out those clouds that we're going to put over. We're just setting up our space so that when we put our other colors on top, that it works for us. I'm gonna just soften up this ocean area. I want to just get the whole canvas covered and ready to go. I'm gonna take one of my other brushes that didn't get as dark. This was the blending brush we were using, and this was the brush we used to apply this top color. And I'm just gonna move some of this and just soften it a little bit more down. I just wanted to move some of this color a little bit further down. And all the way across. Soften these areas with this brush, and they almost go away. Nice. All the way across. Let's blend this all the way. All right, but for a second, we'll grab some crimson, titanium white, and our bright orange mixture, some more white, and a little bit more to the orange side. Just to dull that a little more, grab some of your brown mixture, just a touch. There we go. And I'm gonna scrub in kind of a little bit of background noise behind this. My fan brush to scrub in some clouds. The sun's just really strong, so it's gonna be like, you know, piercing through these clouds, but it's a little bit easier to kind of put the idea in first, and then we'll take off the tape. I could be totally wrong. Skip ahead and you'll find out. But we're just putting in some ideas of some clouds. I'm picking up a little bit more pink, some more crimson, bright orange, and our brown. Just scrub in an idea. There we go. I'm gonna pull off the tape now. So bright. Okay. Don't panic. We are going to pick up, I really like using the sable brush for this. This is just a really soft bristle brush. And we're gonna pick up some titanium white and our bright sky color, and just a touch of Indian yellow. First, we're just gonna blend that in. We need to get this part of the canvas kind of wet and slick. So really just push that into the canvas as much as you can. Starting from the center and moving out, it just is usually easier that way. Using little circles, getting close to the edge. And now you're gonna start picking up some of this outside color. That's good. Just work those lines together. Make sure that you have paint in all of those little crevices of your canvas. And we're just picking up just tiny, tiny bits of our cloud color and mixing that with our sunshine color. And we'll let that sit for a second. I want to get just a touch of this color and throw some down here and here and here. I'm just gonna get some of these edges a little bit softer now that I still have a little bit of paint on the brush. And I want to pick up some more orange and just get these edges a little darker. Too much. Just blending here. All right. Let's take our blending brush and just soften this area. And here. I want to use that same brush. We'll wipe it off and we'll just blend some of these clouds a little bit, really soften them. See if we can get those colors to kind of move together. And then once you pick up some of that paint, we can just go right across. Blend that. Let's give it a lift. Full brush, let's pick up some titanium white, go right back into our sunshine mixture. Right across the top here, it's going to be really bright. So we'll just put some of that in for now. Pick up your fan brush, titanium white, and we'll pick out a few highlights on our clouds. A little more titanium white, and then let's pick up some liquid white to thin the mixture down a little. That'll help it stick, okay? we're just going to highlight some where we think that the sun is going to be just punching through. Pick up a little Indian yellow, some bright orange. Get some of our Indian yellow, real bright color, sunshiny color. And just pop up some bright clouds. Titanium white. And then some liquid white. Really thin that down a little bit. We'll just dance out a few, kind of working with the light in the center. Just tapping, I'm just kind of pushing up the paint and it just comes right off the brush. Let the brush work for you. A little bit more, I think, just over here. A little darker. Let's blend that. Pick up whichever brush you want to use. That was cleaner. Wipe it off. And we'll just blend these until they're really soft. Picking out your highlights and softening out the bottoms or the tops, depending on which side of your light source you're on. Always adjusting. I'm gonna wipe off my brush a little bit. Working in these really bright areas, we're just trying to pull some of the light off of the edge to soften that and bring it back. We're twirling, moving on this side, making little circles and twirls and spins, mixing it up. Maybe here we'll just tap. Pull out the bottoms. I'm gonna wipe my brush off. See it coming together? I hope so. I think I do. Let's go ahead and lift. And pull this across. Lift that one more time. All right. I'm just going to use the sable brush to kind of brighten up this center area again. And it's just going to pull off a little bit of the paint. I want this sun to really come back. I kind of covered it too much with clouds. So we're just softening some of these areas and getting a little bit of that bright bit back. And then we'll just blend some areas with the cloud so it doesn't look like we just messed it up. And then down here we're gonna have a little bit of light showing through, so I'm just gonna wipe some of that off and put in some crimson and our sun color, just a touch, and some white. We'll just apply that in there. Blend it with your blending brush. Now I'm going to take the sable brush again with some titanium white and a lot of titanium white, just a touch of our yellow. And we're going to put on a nice bright spot once again. And I'm just going to use a blending brush and kind of tap that to soften it. I'll clean the sable brush, that wasn't really working. Definitely fighting the paint today. Okay, new plan, we're covering it. Just a little right here and leaving that, there we go. A little bit of white, just dab. Then we're gonna take our fan brush into our bright sunshiny mixture, which is titanium white and a little bit of our peach. Thin it down just a touch and pop in. We need it brighter, just a touch, right around the edges. That'll do. Let's blend that. Cloud a little more like orange, I guess, down here. Just a tiny bit. That bright orange just on the fan brush. Let's blend that out. off your brush. We'll lift that up. Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe off all this paint because I think I just ruined it. So much for putting the tape on. So I have a bright spot, but I'm just using my soft towels to wipe it off. And hopefully that'll work. Let's blend that. Now I'm gonna just kind of pull a few clouds, just a few, over the sun, and I'm leaving it I'm gonna clean off that brush and soften the edges of these clouds even more and just really make it super soft. It's not gonna be like all super defined because the sun is so bright. You're just gonna see that there's something over it. But we'll see if we can clean this up. Because it was just not working for me, which is okay, I guess. It's not always easy. You just gotta keep trying and trying different things until you get the look that you want. And the cool part about it being oil is that you really can just basically wipe it off and try again. And see if you can get it more towards what your idea was in your mind. And if not, then just, it's a new painting now. Something completely different than what you planned, and that's okay too. That happens to me a lot, actually. So I'm just going to use my bigger brush here to blend and pull these across. Really want to soften this top. Okay, now we're going to put in some of the bigger clouds that are in the kind of on top of these clouds or closer to us. They're more lavender color. Pick up your blue and crimson, the blue mixture and your crimson, a little more on the crimson side. And we're just going to throw in a couple clouds, just a few, that are a little darker right out here in the front. They're just closer to us. Okay, let's soften those out. And blend out the bottoms. Let's lift them. And we'll highlight that. We're gonna highlight that with some titanium white just on the same dirty mixture. And right on the top. Whew. Got a little too dark there. Lighten that back up. There we go. Maybe just a touch on those. And soften out the bottom. Wipe it off, wipe off your brush, and let's lift up. Lift. I want to put in just another layer of alizarin crimson and some of your brown mixture. Blend that. Blend this other side. I hope those cars don't suck too much. It really helps to have the fresh air in here. But I think you can probably hear them. Just softening this a little more. Wipe off my brush and lift that up. I'm gonna grab my filbert brush and grab some titanium white, liquid white, throwing it, and go into our sunshine color here. And I'm just going to lighten up these clouds. Where the light is hitting them. And we'll blend that with our sable brush. Wipe that off. And we're just softening these areas. We'll lift that and go across. Next, I'm going to put in that ray of light that we saw. I'm going to use the filbert brush just because it helps to pull some of the paint off, and we'll see how this goes. Cool. Pick up some titanium white and our bright orange and do it one more time. Get some of that paint to come off. Pick up your sable brush and just soften that edge. Pick up a rag so you can keep your brush kind of clean. And once you get down into this darker area, you want to wipe it off before you go up back into the top. And then we're just going to cover, kind of soften a few of the areas. where the clouds might be just a little stronger. Next, I'm going to go right into the orange and bright red. I want this more bright red. Not too much. I'm putting a line right on the outside of this light color. Pick up a little more paint. A little more paint. Sable brush. And blend those two together. Just want to soften that line. I really need these light spots to come back. I just keep ruining them. And we never really put liquid white on this area, so it is pretty easy to just wipe this off, but I seem to be struggling. Don't judge me. We'll make it work. Let's try this. Okay. Let's pick up the filbert brush again. Titanium white, Indian yellow. I really want to play up this inside color. More yellow. There we go. That's more like it. And just go, I'm just kind of going until the brush starts to get a little fatter so I have a nice straight line. And then it doesn't get as thick. The smoke is pretty bad here in Utah today, Salt Lake. I feel it in the air. Let's blend that with the sable brush. And then we want to just kind of give this idea down below. Not quite as graceful on that one. But it's just only sort of showing through down here, just giving off this light. And then let's go across that, kind of blend this. Just giving it a little bit of texture there. I'm going to take some titanium white on my sable brush and just lighten up this inside area a little bit. Just kind of working a little bit of that lightness down. Really trying to soften it. And then we're going to take some titanium white, still with that sable brush, and just pop on our last little bits of highlights on these clouds. Want them a little bit more yellow. Titanium white and Indian yellow. And I'm just going to soften out some of those a little bit, and we'll let that sit for a minute. I want to move down and just let this kind of marinate for a few. And I'm going to pick up my 1-inch brush and go into our dark blue and gray mixture. And I'm going to pick out our horizon line. Maybe right there, we'll see how that looks. And I'm just using my brush to line it up and make sure that we're going at about the same height. So I need to bring this side up just a smidge, and we'll go across. Pull that color down. Now I want to get just our blue mixture. Now into some crimson. And we're just applying color back to our gray in kind of a gradient here. Blending that. Dark around the edges. To the blue, then to crimson. Now I'm going across to really blend those colors together. And I'm just going to soften the top of this, trying to keep it straight, as straight as you can. But we really want to soften the horizon line because it is getting dark in the scene, you can tell. So we're also going to move some of this dark, kind of like it's creeping up on the horizon, just a touch there. Let's get our blending brush and soften out the bottom. And then we're also going to blend this horizon. And I'm using this blue just to get some different bits of texture and color. We really want to make this just super soft. Blending all the way across now on the bottom. We're going to add in just a little bit more crimson. A little more over here too. Okay, I'm just going to pick up a different blending brush here and soften this top horizon one more time. I just really want to make that nice and soft there. Then I'm going to pick out kind of what my feature is going to look like here. I'm thinking that I want a wave. So I'm going to wipe off an area. We already have an area here in the middle where it's going to be nice and bright. So let's just find that again. And then pull that out a little. I feel like maybe it's going to be moving this way. And maybe just a touch higher there. Okay, let's see if we can go with that. Now I want to put in the bottom part of the wave, so I'm going to clean off a brush. Let's pick up the sable dark gray color. Pick up some blue, a little more phthalo green. And right below this highlight, we're going to have the shadow, the dark part of the wave. So we're gonna put that in. And then we're just going to pull some of that color out. Pull it out flat. Okay, and we'll pick out just a couple more, maybe right back here. There'll be something. And back there. With that sable brush, we're just going to pull out the bottom of those dark areas that we just put in, kind of like the trough of the wave, making sure to pull them nice and flat. Just softening all of these lines a little bit, getting that to come together. Okay. Now we'll pick up, I still have some of that bright color on my filbert brush, so I'm just gonna go pick that up into the titanium white and the yellow. And let's just scrub in a light spot in the top here. Get some more paint. And clean off your sable brush. Actually, let's pick up our big 2-inch brush. And we're just going to bring the two of these together. Flatten that out. And I'm really just pulling these out a little bit more, nice and flat. Palette knife and pick up some of our dark orange color that we have over here. And I'm just going to start on this horizon line and kind of put in a little bit of our reflected color up here. And it's just bouncing around on the water. This is just a little bit of titanium white and our orange color. Move this color down. Just so we can get an idea of where it's going to be going. And just a touch down here. And then we'll kind of just wiggle that around. These waves are just moving and rocking around, so just get that wigglement on your knife and it works out real well. Okay, right up in this area, I've taken my filbert brush and gone into a little bit of the orange and titanium white. And I'm just gonna work a little bit more of this orange kind of into the top of this wave here. Next, we'll pick up the palette knife again into the titanium white and our blue mixture, a little bit of the gray. Get some of that on the knife, and we'll just kind of dance in a few of these tops of these waves out here. And I'm just pushing the knife out to the left, and the paint drags off the back of the knife. Mix up a little more color, just ran out. And I want just a few more little bits of movement. Maybe this one's just kind of crashing and moving around a little bigger. Right on the top, I'm putting just a little bit, tiny bit of more white in it. And we'll just put in some water movements. Just making them come together here. And now I want to grab this light paint and just pull it out, just a tiny bit. Trying to keep them all, you know, moving in similar directions to each other. Just pulling in some of that wave that's coming over. Then we'll pick up a little more and just add in a few little bits in here. A little bit more titanium white now. Okay, I'm going to take my big 2-inch brush and just really soften these lines out. Just barely touching. Just trying to soften. These ones you can get a little bit more. Nice. A little bit of an idea for this wave. Let's pull some of our foam, just a tiny bit of foamy action down on the bottom. Take your sable brush that should be dirty, go into the titanium white, and we want kind of a light gray lavender. And we'll just put in the slightest bit of foam. Here I'm just pushing up with the sable brush to get that paint to pull off. Now I'm going to pick up my fan brush and wipe it off. We want to kind of just blend out the bottom of this foamy area. And right here, we're just going to move some of this foam and foamy bits. There we go, just like that. All right, now with our fan brush, let's go into the titanium white. And we're going to pick up some of our blue mixture and thin it down with liquid white. And pick up some of our lavender color. We're going to use this to pull over some of our wave. And just pulling it. Pick up some more paint. And we'll get these last little bits over here. And down over here. And I want to use what's left on this knife, or on this fan brush, to kind of pull in a little bit of our foamy area here at the base of this wave. And we'll just pull that back. Soften it down a little bit. And now I'm going to pull down some of that to get a little water reflection, like on the sand. Lighten it a little bit. Pull that straight across. Now I'm going to pick up one of my 2-inch brushes and just soften this foam here. And then we're going to use the filbert brush and thin that down and pop on some highlights. I'm just pushing up on the brush and allowing that paint to pull off. I'm getting a little bit of our sunshine color and just popping it right on the top here. Back to the titanium white bluish mixture, getting further from our light source. And let's soften that out with our sable brush. I'm just going to tap it a little. Now I want to soften some of this orange that's back here. Now that it's had a little bit of time to kind of sit, we can just soften it without moving too much of it off. And we can bring some of that into our wave on the top here. Even a little bit right here. Now I'm going to pick up my script liner into our bright orange color and thin that down. And I'm popping this color right on the top. Of our wave. And a little more over here. Take your fan brush, clean it off, and just pull some of that we can use the script liner as well to kind of pull in a few little bits of highlight that's just dancing off the top of this wave. A little bit more liquid white. And we'll just soften that one little tiny bit with the sable brush. I'm going to pick up the fan brush and a little thin down blue. We'll just tap in a little bit of our wave water crashing right here. And do the same thing over here. And get those two to meet. I want to use my sable brush to add a little bit of brown like sand down here into our corner. Just moving that across. Keeping it dark in the corner. I decided it'd be really cool if I put in a couple rocks here. So I'm going to grab my palette knife and pick up a little bit of my gray mixture and my dark sienna and a little bit of crimson. Just mix that on the knife, kind of marbled, and we'll pull off a little roll of paint and just put in a few rocks. I think there, and maybe one right here, and right here. And we'll just kind of pull some of that paint out at the base of those rocks. We'll throw one maybe right out here, and just a couple more, just for fun. Okay, we'll throw some highlights on there, pick up some titanium white, some of our dark sienna, and a little bit of that rock color we just used. And we'll just put on some kind of highlights here, not too bright. We don't want them to stand out too much. Just enough. This paint is still pretty thick, so it's sticking to the paint we already have on the canvas. I'm gonna take my 2-inch brush and just pull down a little bit of that rock into the water, just set it in there. Then we'll pull the base out and kind of flatten it off. We're going to use the palette knife and pick up a little bit of, there's titanium white and some of our blue mixture here, and just cut off a little roll of paint and just splash this with your knife just right at the bottom of those rocks, and you can kind of pull up some of your paint on top. Just get a few water lines there in the bottom of the rocks. And we'll finish off with our waterline using that same mixture. Maybe we'll mix up some more titanium white and our blue. And we're just moving this shoreline across, letting that paint pull off just as it does. Don't fight it. Looks like I got a little yellow in that one. Worked out. Picking up some more titanium white and our blue mixture. Finishing off just this wave, kind of adding in some water details. A few more up in here. Okay, now I'm going to pick up my script liner and some liquid white into kind of my sunshine color, and we're just going to do a little bit more highlights on this, kind of splashing here behind this rock. Pick up some more paint. We'll go a little up here, and how about right here? I'm going to make this a little bit more on the pink side and come up in here. And just letting a little bit of that dance around. Maybe we'll blend it with the sable brush. Just give it a little bit of splashy look. We just kind of soften it out a little bit. Maybe some of it comes up here and is misting. Maybe a little in front of the rock. Wipe off your brush. And maybe there's some water just coming down the rock. Next, we're going to add just a little bit more highlight on our water by taking our titanium white and some of the orange. This time a little bit lighter titanium white. So we're going to take some, not that much, titanium white, Indian yellow, and orange. Cut off a little roll, and right here in the middle we're just going to dance around a tiny bit of this brighter color. A little tiny bit more here and up here. I think we need a little here on this splash. A touch down in this water. And now let's just grab a tiny bit of this, some liquid white, cut off just a tiny roll. Clean off your knife. Just a real small amount. And we'll just put in a little bit. And then you can, when that dries, it'll just look like the sand is wet right there. Pull it flat. And you can kind of pick a little bit more of your highlight color and splash in a few. Down here. And right up at the top. I'm going to use a little bit of that highlight color to throw onto these little waves back here too. Just to make them stand out a little more. A little bit of movement with your knife. You can just swirl it around. Now I just want to clean up a little bit in the sky, so I'm going to take a little crimson, little orange on my fan brush, a little Indian yellow, and some titanium white. Let's do a little more orange and some more titanium white. And we'll just add a little bit just to clean up this kind of area right here, and just pull these kind of all together. I'm gonna get more crimson and bright red. And then we'll blend that. I want to add a highlight, so I'm going to use this titanium white and Indian yellow and just tap on highlight onto those areas. Okay. Out one of my 2-inch brushes as best I could. We'll see how it goes. And I'm just going to blend this out. One more time. Now I'm going to lift those up a little bit just to bring it together. And bring that across. I want to add a little bit more highlight on this kind of prism going around the sun. So I'm just going to use my script liner and a little bit of our sunshine color. It's kind of like a light, just an off-white. And we'll just add this all around the inside. Then we'll blend it a little bit with our sable brush. Make sure it's good and clean. Now I'm just going to tap the inside line of this highlight color we just applied. Just softening. All the way around. Okay, we're gonna finish off this sand down here, some dark sienna, thin that down, onto the fan brush. We're getting kind of this thin, light brown mixture. And we're gonna take the palette knife and splash on this kind of sandy color. Thin that down a little bit more. Thin it down and just keep working with splashing some colors and flicking it off your palette knife. Now we'll pick up some liquid white. And You want to go into this light color and still have it nice and thin. Indian yellow and bright orange, titanium white, liquid white. And we'll just splash in some of this brighter color right here in the center. Take your 2-inch brush and just tap. Now you've got sand. I'm going to thin down some of my gray mixture. Little blue. And then we'll just do a little of this in the corner. Tap that out. All right, I'm gonna give this a signature. Before I give it a signature, I just want to put some birds in here. I guess it's my go-to. You could put a boat in if you want. But I really like birds. They're always there at the beach. I would always see them. Nice thin, dark color. I'm just grabbing whatever I can and trying to thin it down. I got kind of like a grayish mixture. I'm gonna throw them in right in front of the sun in some areas. And then I'm gonna sign it. Thin down your paint. And sign it. All right, I'm all done. Super challenging for me. Definitely didn't go as planned, but this is my version. I would love to see your version. Send me an email, kaylee@kayleerakowski.com. You'll read that in the comments below or in the description. You'll find it. I would love to see how it turns out for you. And using these colors and some inspiration, what might you come up with? Thanks for joining me for tutorial number 8. I hope to continue to bring you some fun colors and varieties of paintings that you haven't seen before, just to get your your mind going and get you creative on your own realms, and to help you learn layering paints and getting the colors that you want. Maybe you can watch me fail a few times and you'll be able to do it better at home. So thanks for being here. Smile and be happy, friends.